Okay, great. So I think we can get started. So first, I'd like to thank all attendees for joining in to the second day of the CEI Student Research Symposium. The focus of today will be on youth engagement. If you haven't already, I encourage you to send a message in the chat to share where you're joining in from, and please recognize that the first half of this webinar is being recorded. So I'm Laura Cormier, and I've been working with the CEI over the summer as the mentorship and learning research intern, and I'll be the moderator for today. So today we'll be hearing from two of our amazing panelists. Each presentation will be followed by a Q&A where questions can be posed to the specific presenters. If time allows us at the end, even more questions can be asked, perhaps with a particular focus on general questions pertaining to youth engagement or other commonalities between the two sessions, which maybe both panelists could touch on. The chat and Q&A functions of Zoom will be open for questions and comments throughout the entirety of the presentations and Q&A portion, so please feel free to engage through either of those options during our time together. We're monitoring and appreciate all of this incoming content, and we'll do our best to get to your questions, and apologies if we don't get to yours today. Before I introduce our first presenter, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm currently connecting with you all from Northeast Margaree in Cape Breton, Mula Puketch, which in the Mi'kmaq language means river gouged out at a spot, Unama'ki, which translates to land of fog and is one of the 7 districts in Mi'kmaq, the homeland of the Mi'kmaq people. The CEI recognizes that our work around employment innovation happens on this ancestral and unceded territory, and that the Indigenous communities in Mi'kmaq are key stakeholders in what we do. Our appreciation for Indigenous approaches to research has become central. This home territory is covered by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship, which Mi'kmaq and Maliseet people first signed with the British Crown in 1725, which is celebrated each year on October 1st to commend the ways that Indigenous people strengthen our province. The purpose of these treaties was to acknowledge this land and its resources as ancestral to Mi'kmaq and Maliseet nations, and to establish an ongoing, respectful relationship with them. The land and resources were never surrendered by the Mi'kmaq and Maliseet. To truly honor this land where we work, live, and play, our journey towards collective healing and true reconciliation must continue. I will now introduce the first panelist that we have lined up for today, Hannah James. Hannah is entering her 3rd year at St. FX this fall in the university's health program with a major in biomedical science. Mental health is a big passion for her, which is demonstrated through her work with the Student Union's peer support program in the coordinator position. Over the summer, Hannah has worked with the CEI as the Youth Participatory Action Research Intern, where one of her research focuses has been on the transition into the workforce and how employers can better support young professionals in this transition. So Hannah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Laura. So I want to thank all of you again for taking the time today to join the panel today and listen to the amazing research that is being done by students at the CEI and at St. FX. So today I will be talking about the importance of youth participatory action research and some of the benefits. So today's agenda, we'll start with a general overview of what youth participatory action research is, then going into the benefits, and finally going into how youth participatory action research can be put into action. So what is youth participatory action research? Youth, Youth Participatory Action Research, or YPAR, is a research methodology focused on elevating youth voices while also empowering them to take action in their communities. YPAR employs the tenets of participatory action research, where community members are considered active members of the research process rather than passive recipients of services and programs. In other words, both participatory action research and YPAR take a community-based approach where research is being done alongside the community rather than on the community. And this is demonstrated through YPAR by placing youth participants at the head of the research process, where they will be able to decide on a topic that they feel is relevant to them and their peers based on feedback that they receive through community engagement sessions or informal conversation with their peers. Once they have decided on a topic, they will then design a research project that aims to learn more about their topic as well as how it impacts the youth in their community. And once they have completed their research and the data collection, they will then present their findings to their host organization, their community, and any other stakeholders who may be interested in the findings. It's important to understand that there's no one kind of right way of doing YPAR or one formula for conducting these types of projects, because YPAR is supposed to adapt to the community and its needs. For example, one YPAR project may be focused on assessing a current program or service that is being offered to youth in the community and have an end goal of providing enhancements or areas of improvement for that service, whereas another project may focus instead on a specific problem that are facing youth in that community, such as homelessness or education, and then have an aim goal of providing an action plan to solve that problem. And so the most important thing to kind of understand about YPAR is the guiding principle, which is that all young people have specific expertise, perspectives, and characteristics that make them important assets within our communities and the research process. And therefore, in this methodology, youth are seen as the experts within their communities and their projects because they have the experiences and perspectives of a young person who are living in this community and dealing with these problems on a daily basis. So why is youth participatory action research important? Through my research this past summer, looking into YPAR and programs and initiatives that have been started, I've found kind of three main reasons that this type of methodology is important. The first being the redefinition of expert. So in academia and the research sector, we often see experts as being professionals who have years of experience in the field with various degrees. And while that information and that knowledge that those individuals have cannot be replaced and is really important in the research that they're doing, the lived experiences of community members and young people are just as important. So YPAR aims to change the narrative about who experts are within communities and the research process to allow young people to provide their insights and perspectives about the needs of themselves and their peers. The second major reason that YPAR is important is skill development. So YPAR interns or students are provided with unique opportunities to develop skills that will help them in their future academic or career endeavors. They will also help them become agents of change within their communities. And by supporting youth to develop these skills, we are creating a generation of young people who are willing and able to take action to create change in our communities when it is needed. And the final reason that YPAR is really important is information. So YPAR supplies the community and the organization with both relevant and accurate information about what young people in the community need and want. This information can then be used to develop programs or services to support the young people where they need it, how they need it, and how they want it. And by doing so and tailoring the programs and services to the needs of young people, it will improve the engagement of youth with these services and within the community. So now moving into the benefits of YPAR. YPAR has the potential to benefit three main groups of people, including the youth participants, who are the young people who are researching and designing these research projects, the communities in which they are living and working, and finally the host organization, which is the organization who are hosting and supporting these YPAR interns or programs. And the benefits can be further divided into three kind of main characteristics or categories, including skill and knowledge building, relationship development, and identity formation. So youth participants can experience a lot of benefits during a YPAR project, resulting from the different experiences and opportunities they can get during these projects. So the identity formations for youth participants are focused mainly on their empowerment and their newfound ability to create change in their communities. By participating in a YPAR project, young people gain an improved understanding of the social factors that are impacting their lives and the lives of their peers. And this understanding can empower them to take action and create change for themselves and their community by acting on those social factors rather than waiting for someone else to do it. Secondly, YPAR projects again move youth participants from a more passive role within their communities or within the research process to an active member who is getting to decide how the research is being done, what is the end goal of these research projects, and so forth. And that can again empower them to create change and want to take action because they're doing it on their own terms. And this empowerment that they receive during these projects are really important for increasing their self-esteem, especially for youth who may be on the margins of society or living in a marginalized community. In addition to their identity formation benefits, youth participants can experience a lot of relationship formation benefits. YPAR is a really collaborative process, and it requires a lot of relationship building and formation between the youth participants, their adult facilitators, and the host organization. This collaboration allows for an enhanced relationship between the youth, their peers, and their community. And those enhanced relationships will benefit their work. Youth participants will work to foster relationships, especially with their peers, in order to help decide on a topic that is relevant, to find participants for their research study, and to get the knowledge they need to continue advocating for them and their peers in the larger community. In addition, the youth participants will be working very closely with other members of the community to find participants, to discover what services are currently existing within the community for youth and where the gaps are within this community. And by working in tandem with the community members, especially adults, youth participants can begin to challenge some of the stereotypes that young people face in the communities, such as teenagers are always trying to cause trouble or young people don't want to be involved in their communities. And by challenging these stereotypes, youth participants can work to change how young people are viewed within their community, benefiting not only themselves, but their peers as well. And finally, successful YPAR projects bring together a group of diverse young people, adults, and larger communities, which will allow individuals to identify personal biases and hopefully work to decrease those biases in the long term. And finally, young people are given really important opportunities to develop and hone their research and life skills that will serve them well in future academic and career endeavors. YPAR projects allow youth participants to take control and design and conduct a research project, and by doing so, they are able to develop valuable research, critical thinking, and analytical and writing skills. For example, they will learn to conduct and write literature reviews, how to complete an REB application, and how to present their findings appropriately, alongside a professional or an adult who has a lot of experience in this field. This opportunity will provide them the chance to learn and receive guidance from the facilitator so that the next time they need to complete a similar task, potentially in school or in another job, they can do it with much more confidence. And throughout the project, they'll be able to develop advocacy and mentorship skills that will enable them to complete their work upon the completion of their project, as well as become a successful leader in their work life. The benefits for the host organization follow the same kind of basic categories as for youth participants. The identity formation benefits for organization are focused mainly on their ability to use the unique perspectives and insights of young people to improve their organization and its general work environment. A major identity formation benefit that YPAR offers to organization is the opportunity to foster a culture of mutual learning and respect within the organization. By supporting a YPAR project, an organization is able to embed young people within the organization and the organization's work, therefore giving them the opportunity to learn from the young person, as well as providing the young person the opportunity to learn from others within the organization. This culture of mutual learning will enhance both the work being done by individuals and the work being done as the organization as a whole. And this mutual learning will foster a culture of mutual respect between employees within the organization because each individual is able to see what they bring to the organization as well as what their coworkers bring to the organization. The relationship development benefits for organizations focus on the enhancement of relationships. By supporting and hosting a YPAR project, organizations are able to embed their work in the community, increasing their relevancy because they are basing their work around the needs and wants of the community. The youth participant will also act as a bridge between the organization and the community, especially between the organization and youth within the community. By having this bridge, the organization will have a constant stream of information and perspectives relevant to youth within the community. This constant stream of information can then be used to inform their work and enhance their services and programs tailored to young people. In addition, by acting as a bridge for the organization, youth participants can encourage youth in the community to engage with this organization, whether that be by using the programs or services offered by the organization or by participating in a future youth engagement project or a future YPAR project. And this encouragement from peers or people who are of the similar age will ensure that there's a continuous stream of young people wanting to work with this organization and wanting to create change within the community. And in addition, by supporting the development of young people through these YPAR projects, the organization is actually creating a group of skilled and experienced individuals who have the capabilities and experiences to lead future youth engagement projects. And the skill and knowledge building benefits for organizations revolve around their enhanced understanding of the community and its needs. Through the research conducted by the youth participant, the organization will receive relevant information about what problems young people in the community are experiencing and what types of supports are best suited for this problem. The organization can then use this information to inform new and existing programs or services provided to the youth in the community. And by applying this information to their work and tailoring the services and programs to the needs of young people, the organization will be able to again increase their relevancy to youth in the community, resulting in an increase of engagement. And in addition, the youth participants will be able to offer unique insights and perspectives that can be used to improve the organization's culture, their services and programs, and their research capacity. And the final major benefactor of YPAR projects is the community. And again, they experience the same categories of benefits. The identity benefits for communities are very similar to those of the organizations. By having a YPAR project or youth participants embedded within the community has an opportunity for mutual learning. The youth participant will again have the opportunity to share their personal experiences and knowledge with fellow community members, while also having the opportunity to learn from others within the community. This mutual learning will enhance the community's understanding of one another and what each group of people want or need from the community. And by fostering this mutual learning, a culture of respect will be developed because all of the members of the community can understand what they offer to the community, what they need from the community, as well as what others want and need from the community as well. The relationship benefits that communities can experience involve the enhancement of relationship between the youth and community and enhanced intergenerational relationships. YPAR fosters working relationships between youth participants and older community members. Youth participants will foster relationships between their peers in order to effectively collect their data, and those relationships will offer a higher level of engagement between the youth and the community. In addition, youth participants will foster relationships with the larger community, and by doing so, they will be able to demonstrate the willingness of young people to take action and create change in the communities, again, hopefully decreasing some of the biases that young people face. And finally, the skill and knowledge building benefits for communities are again very similar to those of the organization. By supporting and hosting YPAR projects, communities will gain a better understanding of the needs of young people in their community and how to best support them. This better understanding of youth in the community can be used to inform new and existing programs within the community to better serve the needs of the young people. In addition, by supporting these initial programs, the community will gain an increased capacity to further support youth engagement projects and will again experience all these benefits over and over again. And finally, the community will have an increased amount of social capital resulting from the increased community involvement of young people. And now we're going to go into more about how putting youth participatory action into research and how to do it. So putting YPAR into action can take a lot of time and work at the beginning to make sure that the project will be successful. You will need to find youth participants who are excited and willing to do the research and do the work that it takes to kind of get a YPAR project off the ground. You need to find adult facilitators who are again willing to take the time and energy that's going to take to do this effectively. And finally, organizations that are willing to host these projects. And because YPAR is a relatively new methodology or is a new kind of idea, it can be difficult to find institutions or organizations who are willing to kind of put youth in these major roles of designing and conducting a full research project. However, like I've said with the benefits and the importance of this research or this research methodology, it is really important, and the research and literature does show some of the best practices you can follow to help you within this process. The first major best practice or thing you kind of need to get started is a trained adult facilitator. Because while youth participants are the head of YPAR projects and should be making all of the major decisions, an adult facilitator plays a really important role in the success of these projects. They are responsible for the general running of YPAR projects, including youth recruitment, the education and training of youth participants, and general support and guidance during the research process. And YPAR requires a lot of upfront education and training for the youth participant to ensure that they are best prepared they can be, but it is also really important they receive continuous support and guidance during their project. And that will require the adult facilitator having the appropriate training and knowledge to effectively support young people throughout this process. And this means that it's just as important for the adult facilitator to receive training and education about how to support youth voices and research, as well as some basic information about participatory action research and YPAR methodologies, and how to adapt those methodologies to the work of young people and the research being done with the YPAR project. The second important kind of best practice is a realistic time frame. So YPAR projects require a lot of time to complete because of the amount of training and education that is required, again, for both the youth participants and the adult facilitators. And as well, it takes a lot of time to complete a research project from beginning to end, including putting that research into action. And so it's really important that the host organization, along with the adult facilitator, work with the youth participant to come up with a realistic timeline for the project and then figure out what can we expect to get done in that time frame. And when you're developing the time frame, it's important to consider the development and refinement of new skills and the time that's going to take, the time that is needed for the data collection, analysis, and synthesis, and the time to create change in action, and put in time for any potential obstacles or barriers that might occur, and some time to overcome those as well. And the final kind of best practice is the multiple modes of participation. A key tenet of YPAR is the recruitment of diverse youth, and this diversity should include youth from different cultural backgrounds, life experiences, as well as youth with different academic backgrounds, skills, and talents. In order to best support these diverse youth during a YPAR project, it is important that there are various ways for them to participate and that there is no one way of creating this project. For example, if a student struggled with math, they may not be as successful with quantitative research as they might be with qualitative. And by allowing youth participants to develop their project based on their skills and talent, they will be more confident and have a more successful project. So I just want to thank you guys again for taking the time to listen to my presentation and to come out and learn more about it.
Fantastic. Thank you for this awesome presentation, Hannah. I think it was a really good learning experience for all of us. Even just uncovering what participatory action research is taught me a lot, that's for sure. Yeah, it seems like YPAR is a really innovative way to give youth a voice in the workforce, as we know that we don't make up the grand majority of the population in this space. So I'm just looking. You're getting a lot of good feedback in the chat here. Um, so I guess I'll start off with a question. So youth unemployment in Nova Scotia has led to outmigration of youth to find work, as well as a negative Nova Scotia narrative around the opportunities available here or kind of in the rest of Atlantic Canada. So how do you think youth participatory action research could have an impact on these issues? And specifically, how might YPAR give youth give young people a more positive outlook on the employment opportunities available here in the province and kind of like an incentive to stay?
Mhm. I think YPAR internships or kind of positions first offer youth a really um, meaningful work experience and employment, but it also allows them to take some time to research more about the employment sector and potentially to gather some information about what job positions are out there and what youth can do to stay in Nova Scotia and look at how employers are really, whether employers are excited to employ young people. And then by putting that information kind of out there, I think for other young people to see, it will help then decide kind of, okay, what kind of companies can I work for? What positions are open for me? And I think YPAR both offers an employment experience and an employment opportunity, but it can also kind of provide other young people with a kind of realistic outlook on how the workforce is going and what they can expect to face when they enter the workforce, I guess.
Great. Thank you for your response. We have another question here from Joel. He's asking, what are some potential challenges for organizations to meaningfully engage with YPAR projects or initiatives?
Mhm. So the biggest one is kind of time limits, and I kind of talked a bit about that with best practices, but time is a really hard thing, especially if you're doing a limited project, whether it's a 9 month during the school year or 4 months during the summer. So that's a major challenge that you have to overcome, and you have to figure out how to best engage with YPAR, whether it's through a year-long internship or whether it's um, kind of part-time in the beginning and then goes into full-time during the summer or vice versa. And then another really big challenge is cultural barriers, because a key tenet is recruiting diverse youth. You have to deal with or have to work with a lot of the experiences that they have that you might not understand. And YPAR is often working with difficult topics such as unemployment or homelessness or various others. So adult facilitators really have to work with an organization to figure out how they can best support young people in dealing with these projects and dealing with these difficult topics, especially in a culturally sensitive matter and ensure that you're not assuming something based on someone's background or based on what you think about someone. I think it's really important to keep an open communication with people about that. And then the final one is kind of a lack of rigor in the research, because YPAR is often done with an organization that might not have a lot of experience in a research field or not have done a lot of research in the past. So I think it's really important that you do a lot of that upfront work and teach both the youth participants and the adult facilitators about that um, big picture, kind of how to conduct research, how to do it ethically, how to um, the different research methodologies, what's the difference between qualitative and quantitative, and kind of just some upfront work. But yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your research with us, Hannah, and for answering some of these questions.